Last but not least, Cooper Flagg has been doing much better so far. Over the last 10 games, he's really started to shine as he's been moved to the small forward position. We haven't talked about Cooper Flagg in the last 2 weeks, and he's made history a few times in just the last week itself, recently joining LeBron James as the NBA's only 18-year-olds to post a 30-point game. And granted, he's going to do a lot of this throughout the season as the first 18-year-old to do this and to do that, because the sample size of 18-year-olds coming through the NBA is still relatively low, because a lot of guys are turning 19 during the course of their first regular season in the NBA and different things like that. So there's a lot of opportunity for him to be the first or one of the only 18-year-olds to accomplish said whatever feat, right? So Cooper Flagg, something I want to touch on is that his improvement as of late has been so important because he's showing more signs overall that the game is starting to slowly but surely slow down for him. Something that stood out to me for that was the difference between the first 10 games and the last 10 games. And a lot of this has to do with him playing point guard versus going back to the small forward position, his more natural position. But I also think it's the understanding of how important it is to judge a guy based off of true sample size, not based off of reactivity, which is you see a first 5 games, you're like, he's not playing well, bust. No. Let me read this out. Being an 18-year-old in the NBA is difficult. Being an 18-year-old primary ball handler is even tougher, especially when your team styles itself as a contender. It was a somewhat rough start for Flagg, who averaged 13.9 points, 6.6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2.3 turnovers, while shooting 40% from 40% from the field, 27.3% from 3 in his first 10 games. In the 10 games since then, however, Flagg is averaging 19.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3.9 assists, 2 turnovers while shooting 51% from the field and 23.7% from deep. Those are still pretty small sample sizes, but a teenager trending up like that after his first taste of NBA action ain't nothing. The fact that Flagg is even in the NBA at this age is an accomplishment. Again, reminding yourselves that he reclassified to play at Duke as a 17-year-old. Remember, he's going to spend basically his entire rookie season as an 18-year-old, something that is very atypical. That usually a lot of 18-year-olds entering the NBA end up turning 19 at some point during their rookie season. Developing into an effective starter at this age isn't something ever we've ever seen outside of James, which is very good company to have when you're a do everything player like Flagg. Cooper Flagg, and this is not going to be an entirely long segment because I think, again, this is one of those players, specifically with the kind of expectations he has coming into this season. Cooper Flagg's development is going to be on a every 10 game basis. There's always going to be something new said about how we feel about Cooper Flagg because of the fact that he's someone that as he continues to get the reps, the refinement is gonna start to quickly glow. I think that, anybody could say as you practice over time, you're likely to get better. And of course, in NBA terms, as you play more games, you're likely to understand NBA speed more. You're likely to understand more of what NBA perimeter pressure looks like. You're more likely to understand what NBA defense is, especially playing against like zone, if what that kind of pressure feels like. You understand more how to combat against defenses as an offensive player in terms of finding ways to consistently get to your shot, more consistently get to your spots, the spots you thrive at the most as a scorer. So I think that Cooper Flagg is somebody, again, with the skill set that he came in with this league, again, into the league with, again, do everything player, more of a Swiss Army knife, not really heliocentric, just does it off of effort and plays with a certain level of intention. I think when he goes about scoring or even how he operates on the defensive end, he's somebody who I think still has real rookie of the year upside. I think even with how well Colin Knipple is playing, I think Cedric Coward has been really good so far this season. But I think the reality is that Cooper, especially when you look at what he's able to do as a two-way player, has the kind of upside that I think as he continues to get more reps and as the Dallas Mavericks continue to get healthier over time, again, getting a guy back like Kyrie Irving, for example, Cooper is going to further continue his ploy for why not only is he obviously not a bust, but also why he was deserving of the hype coming into the league as a guy who was going to be like a difference maker. And I say difference maker because I don't think anybody truly pegged him to be like, I don't think anybody truly pegged Cooper Flagg to be like generational necessarily. And I think anybody who really did was being very hyperbolic about how they felt about his game translating to the NBA. I always did think certain things like associating his play style with being very similar to Jason Tatum was always a little bit overblown, and sometimes I would say even felt like a little bit of a lazy comp because they both played wing at Duke. Um, and yes, Cooper Flag has a very good touch on the ball and things of that nature, but I think one JT was just so much better as an isolation scorer. Cooper is someone who plays a lot more based off of feel and energy, and someone who plays with a little bit more hustle than JT. But JT's skill as a shooter and his skill as an off the ball scorer, and I think also even his skill as especially his skill as an on the ball isolation scorer is just like light years ahead of where Cooper Flag is. Even if Cooper Flag is much more refined and polished as an 18-year-old than most 18-year-olds entering the NBA. But I think Cooper, A, he's going to get more rookie of the year buzz just based off of the fact that every single time you have one of these stats where you're one of only one or two guys in a category, especially if your name is matched with LeBron James, right? I think it happened back-to-back games where he became the first 18-year-old in forever to record 10 assists was right before that. Let me double check to make sure I got that right. Yeah, this comes only one day after Flagg became the youngest player in the NBA history to post 10 assists in a game, reaching the milestone against James and the Lakers. Then doing the 35 point milestone right after. That kind of thing is always going to help push you forward because not only does it put you more in front of the national media, but also breaking record books is a part of your narrative when making your rookie of the year case. But I also just think that Cooper Flagg is an all-around talent. When you compare him to guys like Colin Knipple or Cedric Coward or Ace Bailey or VJ Edgecombe, right? He still, even in the early portions of this season, has shown the most upside as a two-way player of any of those guys. And I think if he can show more consistency of what he's been able to do over the last 10 games as opposed to his first 10 games, it'll go a really long way in putting forth his efforts to be named as Rookie of the Year this season. You guys let me know in the comments down below through 20 games. Give me your hierarchy of who your top 3 candidates are for Rookie of the Year. I'm going to save mine because I plan on doing some kind of award race 1.0 very soon. I think around like maybe like the 25 to 30 game mark. I'm going to do my 1.0, and then maybe around like the 50 game mark we'll do a 2.0 and so on and so forth, right? So I'll be doing my own MVP, Rookie of the Year, that kind of thing, award show very soon, the 1.0 version. So stay tuned for that. But let me know in the comment section what you guys believe in, and that will also help me in formulating, my list for these things as well, right? So yeah,